Hi everyone, in this video we are going to apply Wear All Day and I'll give you a review of NYX's new product. This is the Buttermelt Glaze Soft Glow Skin Tint with SPF 30. It's basically a tinted sunscreen. So we'll go over what the claims are, how well it applies, how well it wears throughout the day, all my other thoughts on how good this product is. Thank you so much for taking the time to be subscribed to the channel. If you aren't already, please do so. You can also follow over on Instagram. We have had a couple of drugstore videos and reviews lately before this one. Ooh, my hair is crazy right now. So please go check those out, including L'Oreal's brand new Paradise Big Deal mascara. I'll link that in the upper right-hand corner for you to check out if you haven't seen that already. And speaking of face tint products, a foundation, Maybelline's newest one. This is the Super Stay Lumi Matte Foundation. Definitely go check out that video if you haven't already. Check the description box for where you can find this online to purchase. I also try to put it somewhere in the video here. And I try to link the most affordable place that I can find it. This is available through NYX's website, places like Walmart, I think maybe Target, places like that, that typically carry and sell NYX. This is available in 10, they call flexible shades. It's supposed to be kind of sheer in its tint. This is what the packaging looks like. It's opaque. It's a plastic squeeze tube. The amount you get is a little over 1 fluid ounce or 30 milliliters, and it retails for $16. Let's go ahead and look at the claims to make sure we are keeping an eye out on how they hold up. It says get an instant glowing glazed skin look with the Buttermelt Glaze Soft Glow Tint. It's supposed to melt into the skin for butter glazed skin, giving you a hydrated appearance, especially if you have dull skin. SPF of 30, that is supposed to wear up to 12 hours. A no white cast formula, fade resistant, available in 10 flexible shades with skin loving benefits for all skin types. On that note, let's look at the ingredients. They call out that the formula is infused with shea butter, mango butter, niacinamide. I do also see the Camellia sinensis leaf extract, and at the very end, 2 fragrant ingredients, fragrance and limonene. They characterize it as a 93% skincare formula, giving you a non-greasy glaze that leaves skin smooth and protected with a glowy skin tint. All right, let's go rewind back in time to a bare face. I'll put normal skincare on, but obviously no other tinted or SPF product. And let's see how this applies. The shade that I am going to apply is number 2, Vanilla Bean. And it says to shake and that you can apply with your fingers, a sponge, or a brush. I'm gonna go ahead and use my fingers. That's the dispenser, or what the dispenser looks like. And let's do it to half the face and see what the coverage is like, the finish is like. Oh, it is thinner than I expected it to be, given this whole butter glazed description, which I'm happy to find out because I was a little bit afraid it would be thick. Oh, it's much thinner than I expected. It feels great on the skin. Not heavy the way that I thought it would feel. Seem to be picking up a fragrance or a smell. Yeah, it glides really nicely. It's got light coverage. This blemish here is dulled down just a little bit, but this newer blemish here next to my nose, that redness isn't quite covered up. Got another one in the middle of the chin. Yeah, this scent is a little strange. It's almost like a flowery scent. I've used a different sunscreen for my neck because I don't want that to be tinted. and get color on whatever I'm wearing. I always do that when I'm using a tinted sunscreen. I just use it on the face and then I use a non-tinted one for the neck down. Okay, so there it is applied. The finish is very skin-like, so it is not as thick or heavy or goopy as I had an initial assumption of, given the way that the marketing photos and videos were and the description was. The product is easy to spread over the skin. It feels really lightweight. It doesn't feel like it's suffocating or thick on top of my skin. It's definitely light coverage, even though I feel like multiple layers on the cheeks. I don't know that it built up the coverage that noticeably. I think you're gonna get sheer to, at best, light coverage. The scent is not like, did they try to make it smell like butter? I can't quite tell. It's not overtly like a bakery scent or something like that. Maybe more flowery. I can't really tell, but thankfully I'm not noticing it after I apply. And I have kind of the natural, I think the natural glow that I typically have with my skin. Definitely no active mattifying, but it's not as shiny as you might think given the description. Lovely. I mean, I think I would have hoped for a little more coverage, but I'm gonna go ahead and apply it to the rest of the face. All right, there's what the skin looks like with it applied all over. It brought out a little bit of texture around this area. This is where I tend to treat a little more heavily with anti-acne products because my blemishes typically show up around this area here, unfortunately, as you can tell. So that might be the reason why it's doing that. I did notice a little bit of texture and maybe not playing as well with whatever skincare I have on before, like above this lip. But that's also something that can change in the outcome just depending on what you are putting on your skin for your skincare. But everywhere else on the face, it's very smooth. Feels like nothing on the skin, which I love. Has just the slightest bit of tint and coverage to it, but obviously not having enough to cover redness or blemishes like this on my face. But it does give a nice smoothing of the skin. There is this sheen on the skin that, depending on your preference, you may or may not prefer something more mattifying, but I think is really lovely and natural, not shiny, not goopy, but also not actively mattifying. And it does feel nice and moisturizing too. It's really overcast today, but I'm trying to do my best to step in the sunlight as much as possible and give you a view of what the finish looks like in natural light. And now it's been sitting on my skin for about 15 minutes. I wanted to let it settle, give you an idea. I feel almost like, is it just me? Or is it a little less shiny? Maybe it's the same. I don't know, but you can see there for yourself. All right, I'm gonna go throughout my day wearing this, including a kind of lighter gym session, which will put it to a nice test in terms of whether I see any breakage, how it holds up, and do some errands and work, things like that. And I will see you at the very end of the day to check in and give you my final thoughts. Okay, checking in with you at the end of the day. This is what the finish looks like. definitely developed a little more of my natural oiliness and shininess that came through, which doesn't surprise me because there's no active mattifying effect that you can see visually with this formulation. So if you are naturally shiny like me, then you would expect that that develops throughout the day. Here's a closer look, the finish. I think for me, I don't notice any really drastic or apparent breaking down of the formulation or anything like that. Not that I think you'd be able to clearly see that because the pigmentation is so sheer anyway. The way that I next time will wear this is, and what I typically do, is to powder everywhere with a mattifying or at the very least translucent powder to give me a more even finish. And I think that also keeps the finish a little bit smoother longer throughout the day. But I will say that, you know, with the gym trip, with some sweating, I at no point ever felt like this formulation was heavy on my skin. I never even noticed wearing it, which is a big bonus when you're wearing any sort of sunscreen or frankly any sort of face product. So I enjoyed this formulation a lot more than I thought I would because it is thinner and lighter weight than I was anticipating given the description of what the formulation was going to be like. So let me know in the comment section if you've been trying this, what your thoughts are, how it works on your skin. I will say that this is something that I would only use in the winter time when we have days like this that are overcast, rainy, the UV index is low, because with an SPF of 30, that's sort of the bare minimum that I will put on my skin for sun protection. And on top of that, when it's a tinted product, I feel like psychologically, you tend to think of it a little bit more like makeup and tend to treat it therefore more like makeup and therefore to not apply it as heavily as you might with a non-tinted sunscreen. So my suggestion would either be you use a separate sunscreen all over before you put this on, or just make sure that you are diligent about how much you put on and maybe use this in the months of the year that have lower UV index ratings. Oh, and as I mentioned before, when I use a non-tinted product on the rest of my neck and chest area if that's exposed, the one that I have been testing most recently is this one by Shiseido, the Urban Environment Sun Dual Care Oil-Free Mineral Hyaluronic Acid. This is an SPF of 42. It says it's water resistant up to 40 minutes. Comes in a shaker bottle. That's what the box looks like. And this is a physical sunscreen, the titanium dioxide and zinc oxide. This formulation is very liquidy and watery. You can see by how it flows. And this one, it says it's oil-free. And even though it feels it feels almost oily on the skin, the way that it sinks in and rubs into the skin is not oily or greasy feeling at all. One of the claims is that it's actually mattifying, which I find to be true. Not mattifying in like a powdery drying way, but it has no sheen off of the surface. And if you look at the inactive ingredients, the very first one is dimethicone, which again, and silica is one of the other ingredients at the top too. So that is going to provide some of that mattifying effect. So this is also a lovely formulation. This one, I do like using below the neck too, because since it is titanium and zinc oxide based, depending on how deep your skin is, your skin tone, it can leave a white cast, once again, depending on how much you apply, etc. But on the neck down, that doesn't matter as much. So lovely formulation on this one too, if you're not looking for a tinted sunscreen, and or if you're looking for something that is as thin and watery and lightweight, but has more of a matte finish. All right, thank you so much for taking the time to watch. I hope this video was helpful to you if you're interested in this product. Again, any questions you have, I'll try to answer in the comment section below, and I'll see you in the next video.